Welcome, folks. It has been a while that we did the 100X live, and thank you all for joining. Today, we are going to have a brief chat with two of our 100X portfolio companies. One is Data Sutram, and the second one is MicroDegree. Data Sutram was part of our class one, which was in early, uh, you know, 2020, late December 2019, and micro degree, which we funded very recently in class three. And thank you, all of you, to join to hear this one. Uh, we are going to ask them questions about their journey, how they build their company, how did they arrive at the idea, how did they raise money, and what happens with 100X.VC. Let me just bring in the teams live. I'll just add the Data Sutram team first. And here we have Rajit, Asik, which is there, and Ankit, the Data Sutram team. Now I'll just bring in the micro degree team, Gaurav, Rakesh, and Manikanta. So all of them are here. And thank you all. Thank you guys for joining. Let's quickly get into the whole discussion. So first and foremost, Data Sutram team, asking you guys, share your, what do you do? What's Data Sutram about? And how did you arrive at this idea? So go ahead with the Data Sutram team. Can you just explain the viewers, what do you do?
Sure, Sanjay. So, Data Sutram is a location intelligence company. We are responsible for collating external data from a host of our partners, transforming that and translating that into socioeconomic insights. In terms of, just to give you an example, we would be aggregating mobile mobility data, rental data to create something like affluence, right? Now, we help companies take data-driven decisions through the insights that we are creating. So tomorrow, a company can open 1,000 stores in a period of 3 months instead of a year, and a company can target the right doctors, the right merchants for their micro-targeting. So essentially, we help companies take data-driven insights into their decision making.
Understood. Thank you so much, Isaac. Coming to micro degree team, I mean, if you guys can share across in terms of what's your startup idea, what are you building, and how it helps across, what problem you are trying to solve.
Sure. Thanks, Sanjay. So, MicroDegree is an education tech platform where we teach coding and job-ready skills in vernacular for the Bharat market. Right? We are currently targeting a tech talent who come from non-metros and smaller towns. So, what problem we are trying to solve is every year 2 million engineers graduate, but unfortunately, less than 40% of them are employable. That's because these talent who are non-English speakers end up mugging up coding or memorizing the concepts. In order to solve this, we came up with an innovative approach where we're teaching coding and job-ready skills in local languages. So the solution is very simple. These are self-paced recorded courses which are in bite-sized, curated by industry experts. So currently we are an upskilling platform, but we aspire to be an end-to-end, outcome-driven platform as well, Sajjad.
Understood. So I think we have got two diverse set of startups. One is a deep tech, another is an ed tech startup. Both coming. Data Sutram is based out of Calcutta, and Micro Degree is based out of Mangalore. So as India is large and diverse, so just wanted to make a point saying that 100x.vc funds across startups, sector agnostic, and we choose teams from various diverse backgrounds. So coming to that, Gaurav, if I have to ask you, or anybody from micro degree team, saying that just share your team background in terms of how did you as a team meet and how do you know each other, and what problem this which you are solving across. What was your inspiration? Why did you choose this problem to solve? What made you choose this problem of creating these courses in vernacular? How did this idea come to you? Micro degree.
Rakesh, you're on mute.
Hey Sanjay, this is Rakesh. I had technology at MicroDegree. To give a brief background about myself, uh, I, I am an electrical engineer graduate from BMS College, Bangalore. So when I was hiring for an IT services company, right, where I was working, I could see the students lacked basic fundamentals. The same problems which existed 10 years back when I was graduating. So even Gaurav, who is my co-founder, had similar experience, who comes from a non-IT background. So that's where, when we were working from a co-working space, we thought, why not solve this problem, which is rampant across. I think less than 40% of the engineers who graduate in India are employed. So that's where we thought, okay, let's solve this using a vernacular approach, and we came up with this idea.
Understood. So you got to know each other from co-working spaces.
Right.
Cool.
That's where
Awesome.
we were running our own startups, and we got inspired. So
Oh, nice. That's nice. Team Data Sutram, I mean, how do you know each other and how did this idea come about and why did you start Data Sutram?
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Sanjay sir. It's a pleasure being here. Rajit and I, we know each other from school, and we met Oishik. We're all batchmates from Jadavpur University, and together we have been involved in a lot of extracurricular activities throughout college. And all of us, we didn't want to dive into the corporate world immediately after our degree was over, so we started working with a lot of companies, and then eventually started working with the government on a project called Mati Kotha, where we used all the information of soil. We used information of rainfall, we used information of crops, pesticides, and together put a lot of data work behind it and cleaned it and made a project called Soil Card, which essentially helps farmers decide productivity and would help the government and financial institutions decide on how to help them financially. So after doing that project, we got inspired to work with data, and we saw that there was a lot of scope out there, and we wanted to bring this country together, and we wanted to introduce into the data world, because why would India stay behind? So naturally, that was a huge inspiration for us, and then we all jumped in.
That's nice. So college mates, also now business partners. That's good to know. Uh, how did you get to know about 100x? Where did you hear about it? How was your process? How did you apply? What was your funding journey with 100x? If you can share across Data
Sure,
Sutram team.
sure, Sanjay. Firstly, thank you for this platform, and really excited to be a part of today's discussion with MicroDegree. So, as Ankit mentioned, right after graduating out of Jadavpur, we had started this company, and we were in a position where it was. I still remember we were back then. We had no office. I was sitting out of my grandmother's house, and Oshik and I were coding when we saw this Your Story article on Sanjay Mehta and the 100x and what's happening, and we shot a random cold email. And as simple as it gets, it was this one email on an afternoon, which literally had a response in like 2-3 days time, and I got this. We had to fill up this Google form, and when we submitted, I still remember Oshik and me recording. I still have that video, in fact. And once we did that, I think the next morning, we had a follow-up sessions and all, and I think 2 days we had this flight into Mumbai, and that was quite that thing of the movies where you go to Mumbai, have a flight, have a 10-minute discussion, and I remember signing out term sheet with you. So it was, for us, it was almost like a dream, the city of dreams they call it, and for us it was almost realizing that entire journey of Data Sutram coming true with that opportunity. And for us it was almost like something that happened over a week, and suddenly we were in Mumbai meeting a lot of industry experts and investors from all across, and learning new things. So in a nutshell, it just started from one article, and it from one cold email to finally getting that first round of funding.
Oh, that's awesome, Rajit. So just folks, many of the times I see a lot of social media comments in terms of, typically how much time it takes for you to get a funding. And, so if as you are listening to Rajit, typically one meeting and they had a term sheet given across. And within a week's time, they were attending the masterclass and meeting mentors for their growth across. Let's hear across MicroDegree team, how was their experience with 100X? How did they apply to 100X, and what was their funding experience? Team MicroDegree.
Sure, Sanjay. Thank you so much. First of all, it's a pleasure having me here and having my team here, and to have a very healthy discussion with the Data Sutram team. So first and foremost, as a startup, we were looking for potential investors, like every other company does. So meanwhile, Gaurav came up to me and told that there is a company called as 100X, which he found out in LinkedIn. I think he had a fair amount of 2 to 3 chats with Ednesh or Shashank, if I'm not wrong, probably Shashank. So what happened later was we just thought that, okay, I think this is the time for us to move forward in terms of investment. So that was the first step towards that. And as Rajat rightly mentioned, there was a Google form, and we chipped in away with that Google form. And to our utter astonishment, the next day we got a call from probably Ethnish. So we were pretty much awestruck with the quickness of 100X. The process in which they just literally goes with their business is pretty immense, and there is a lot to learn from it. The quickness is something which has really took us apart. And then after that, we had a couple of pitching sessions with them, and unfortunate or fortunate, contradicting with Rajat, we did not get an opportunity to go to Mumbai because we were pandemic struck. So that was that was only the one difference which I would see from whatever you had to face and whatever we had to face. So a couple of pitching session, and to be honest, we were onboarded in just 1 week's time. So that quick, we were a part of 100X, and it was super happy to learn something great from 100X in that particular 2 pitching session. And yeah, like you mentioned, our dream were coming really true. So that's the process in which we went about. It was pretty quick. It was just a 1 or 2 pitching session, and you are in. So that's
Okay,
about
thanks.
that.
Thank you, Manikanta, for that short note. Yes, in pandemic, it was difficult to meet anyone and everyone, so we limited ourselves to people who can travel or could travel. But your team was one which we worked across online to close the term sheet very quickly and fund you guys, and it was awesome. Uh, I mean, let me just take it up further with Team MicroDegree. How was your experience with iSafe? Had you heard about iSafe? How was your learning with iSafe? Can you just share across your views on iSafe?
Sure, Sanjay. Just to walk you through the iSafe was very new to us. We had never came across, right? Been following with the ecosystem past few years, but iSafe was very new. I heard something about safe nodes from the Y Combinator and everything, but unfortunately we couldn't get the terms what exactly safe nodes happen. But that's where iSafe, I believe there was multiple sections about iSafe, which was undergone by 100X team on the YouTube. That's when we understood what iSafe is and how beneficial it is. That was very new to us, and it was very fascinating. The iSafe agreement is so simple. It is just 8 to 10 pager, and it is very startup founder friendly as well as investor friendly. We don't need any legal team to understand the iSafe agreement. And once the iSafe is done, we can onboard investors in just a week's time. That's how simple iSafe is. And also you can onboard any investors with any amount of check size, be it 5 lakh or under 5 lakhs, you can onboard, so what happens is, what I would recommend for any startup founder is, iSafe is something which helps you to focus on your business rather than the SHA agreements, which typically happens with the VCs or anything. So that's what iSafe I would highlight, Sanjay.
Understood. Thank you, Gaurav, for helping other founders know about how iSafe works across. What was your experience, Team Data Sutram, in terms of, do you believe founders should be using iSafe for their first check at seed funding? And what's your view on iSafe?
I feel it's a need of the hour, and like any other instrument and or any other mechanism, there is always going to be a pros and a cons to it, and we can go on to highlight that. But I think the crux of it, and I keep thinking about it, and whenever I talk to entrepreneurs, I keep saying that if you are in a stage today, and I think as Gaurav rightly mentioned, that if you are in a stage today where you need to go ahead and raise funds, but you do not know what your valuation is going to be, you do not know how to put a cap to that, you do not have revenue in a stage where you want to evaluate your company, you would probably have gone for a convertible. Even in a convertible, there are certain constraints which are taken care in the iSafe agreement. And as well as the another advantage to that is that you have your funding closed in a week, where you are not involved with the thousands of legal processes or activities that are there in the other way around. So as entrepreneurs who've just started, who've got a very good idea to work on, or who have been in the very early stage and are looking to take it to the next level and want that kind of backing, I feel iSave is the need of the hour for them. And there needs to be more and more, I feel, documentation and education spread on the same, so that investors, family offices are also can come in and put in money. Then a lot of people today can become angel investors, and in the sense there can be a lot of capital flowing into ideas. So iSave just is not a good thing for entrepreneurs. At the same time, it's also a very good thing for even prospective angel investors. So I feel overall it needs to go out more, and I think with the help of 100X and you, Sanjay, I think it will go out and become more and more popular.
Awesome. So, guys, iSafe as a founders, if you're listening across this two set of experience, just trying to tell across, saying that how simple that document is, and that's where 100X stands for funding simplified, and you can see across how quickly those documents and funding rounds got closed across. Uh, let's move to the next level, where the big thing about 100X VC pitch day. Rajit, you had an opportunity to do a live session in front of a large audience at IIT Bombay. Gaurav had our MicroDegree team, and Gaurav had a opportunity to do it live online with almost 1,000+ investors. So let's go through one by one, starting with you, Team Data Sutram. What was your experience on 100X VC pitch day, and what happens at 100X.VC pitch day, and how did you prepare for 100X.VC pitch day, right? So if you had to share, what's that 100X VC pitch day, Team Data Sutram?
The 100X VC pitch day was definitely an experience, because the 2 weeks preceding the pitch day was I think one of the most craziest 2 weeks of all of our entire lives. As founders, I don't think any of us are allowed a lot of sleep anyway. And all the everyone at 100X VC, starting from Sanjay sir, Ninad ji, Shashank ji, Vatsal, everyone, they all helped us in preparing from everything, starting from how to present yourself and build your profile on LinkedIn, to how to prepare and pitch to investors and all potential clients and everyone. And naturally, the entire team at 100X VC had checked each and every detail of presenting our company and how we are building our model, so that we can pitch properly to all the hundreds and hundreds of potential angels, VCs, and other investors that are there on pitch day. And finally, on the pitch day, what I remember is I remembered that all the excitement leading up to the 15-minute pitch round that all of the portfolio companies got. And we stood in a huge hall in front of almost 300 angels and investors, and we got only 15 minutes to showcase who we are and what we can offer up and how we can grow. And after that, it was an even further, it was a huge opportunity. And after that, because then you get chance to connect with all of the investors one on one. Whoever you had made an impression on, they all come up to you, and you pitch your product, you pitch your idea in greater detail, and you pitch how you're going to present yourself to the market and grow. And from there, naturally, I mean, I can safely say that that was the point from where our business just completely took off. All the opportunity and the scale we
Thanks,
decided.
Ankit. I think that was a good storyboard what you built across. But just to correct, we didn't have 15. You didn't have 15 minutes. It sounded like large, but it was a
5 minutes.
short.
5 minutes. Oh, I'm so sorry.
So
So
I,
we in fact crunched it more further. If Gaurav, if you have to share across So 100X.VC pitch day is where we have a class model and all this funded companies of 100X.VC showcase to large set of investors. So our class one Data Sutram had a physical opportunity. Due to pandemic, the class three company MicroDegree had to showcase online. So if team MicroDegree can share their experience on 100X.VC pitch day, it would be great.
So I would say it was super simple and very effective, right? So if you want to break it out, it's just we have to record a 3.5 minute pitch, which would go live on the pitch day, and it would be showcased across 1,000+ investors across the globe. So we were part of the class three cohort, and we pitched around in January. So once the pitch is showcased for 1,000+ investors across the globe, interested investors will schedule a meeting with our team. So we got around more than 50+ meetings scheduled for the next 2 weeks. So these are the meetings where you get commitments on investment in just 1 week, and you can close the investor, and he will be on board within a week's time. So that is how effective the pitch day is, right? That's where the platform 100X uses the way to reach out to global investors. And to describe about how we prepared for the pitch day, right? This is the time where our major efforts go in, right? We could see a day and night difference between how our first pitch was and to the final pitch, which was showcased to investors. Actually, 100X team personally involves in fine-tuning our pitch. So a couple of pointers which I could say is each slide has to be metric driven. Your business idea needs to be clearly communicated in 3.5 minutes. Idea is to have the investor attention in those minutes. Main thing is you need to cut the needless things from the pitch. I think that's the main thing we got from these preparing sessions from 100X and until the final pitch.
Sure. Thanks for that, Rakesh. So basically, idea is 100X.VC pitch day is where all the founders of the class are able to raise the next round of funding. In fact, within our class three, all the companies could raise the money for their next round. Now, coming back in terms of if you had to share one transformation story, team Data Sutram with 100X, saying that what happened, what were you before, and if some story or anecdote which you would like to share across of your transformation before 100X and after 100X, any notes which you would like to share with founders. Isaac, you are on mute. Can't hear you. No, it's not audible. I think you're not audible.
Okay, as I think Vishek fixes, I'll take that question
Sure,
for him.
sure.
So, I gave the background. We were a bunch of college graduates. We started in our final year of engineering. And I think one of the biggest things that we remember was kind of we were technology people trying to create a solution out there in the market. And one of the facts is that as fellow enthusiasts who are excited about technology or who are excited about creating new things, often we do not perceive investors or investment in the way that investors perceive. In the sense that although entrepreneurs take funding from investors, it's not necessarily a same perspective that both share about the exercise. And I think where I see 100X or even the early stage investors' real value come is in terms of guiding you to understand how the market looks at you, how a client looks at you, how a market looks at a solution, how an investor looks at a prospective startup. So I think the entire assessment from the other side is what is missing to us as fellow excited enthusiasts who are going into a startup. And where I see a lot of value coming in and what I see as a big change is that entire transition from, I would say, tech enthusiasts to prospective businessmen is where I see a lot of value that 100X or an early stage investor has to play, and where 100X for us has played that significant
role. Basically, we converted at 100X, worked with you to convert your product into a business. So idea is investors fund business. That's one learning which you need to take care. Most of the entrepreneurs are in love with their products, and typically investor will fund business. So that's where it is. If I have to ask team Micro Degree, what was your transformation story? If you had any notes, or do you want to share any notes on your transformation story on with 100x? I think you're on mute, Gaurav.
Sure,
Yeah.
Sanjay, I would like to walk through. So as Rajit said, right? So every startup, what typically they would need is money and mentorship, right? So the money thing was simplified, by 100x team, right? So basically, imagine after the pitch day, right? We had to pitch in front of 50 plus investors, and onboard investors on the company was simplified by 100x. Post the pitch day, only thing what we were supposed to look into was the business part, right? The money part has been covered by 100x. The next part is you have to look into your business, and the best part of the business part is you're not alone. The 100x team is very approachable. The team at 100x, be it Sanjay, Minad, Yagnesh, all are seasoned panel on board who help you to focus on your business. So to give a note, basically at MicroDegree, we were trying to do too many things at a time, but with the help of 100x, we are focusing on one thing at a time in terms of business. So what I would like to summarize is money and mentorship is what 100x is all about, funding and mentorship.
Understood. So there are a couple of questions which are coming. So now I'll go to the live questions, which are coming from audience. So there is one question which I'm putting up on board. Are seed funding in ideation still a myth? Will any one of you, Team Data Sutram, let's go with you. What do you think is ideation? Do people fund ideas?
I mean, we got funded at an idea stage, so I think you do get funded at an idea stage. In short, I think just breaking that question into much more into a one step further, I would say that even if it's an idea, I think a basic validation of the idea, even if the product is not there, but at least a need of the product has to be demonstrated in terms of some use case, some POC, some even a good market survey can get you a funding. I've seen very good market surveys get it. So I think, yes, ideation does get you funding, but ideation backed by data gets you funding.
So Rajit, continuing on that question, you after funding, you spent some time. You have raised the next round of funding significantly, and now you're raising another round of funding. How does 100X.VC engage with you, right? And how does it work across? How do we monitor? That's a question which has been on the screen.
Right. So I think one of the crucial aspects here is that funding is not a one-time exercise. It is a continuous process, and I think once you're out of the news, once you're out of sight, you're out of mind. It's as simple as that in terms of that. And I think what needs to be worked out is how do you structure the deals and how do you go about. I think one of the areas where we saw a lot of I would say advice is really worked for us is in terms of structuring our second round after the 100x, because what happens there is you have, so after meeting that a lot of VCs on the final day, pitch day, we had a follow-up sessions in the next 2 to 3 months and a few term sheets here and there. But I think what's important is to understand, is to often sometimes say no somewhere and say yes to some things. And often you don't know what factors you'll say that no and yes to. And as founders, you're often biased towards taking some decisions. So getting someone else, someone more experienced involved in that process, and their interest being taken care into this way, you are technically safeguarding your own interest by putting that in front. So I think by where we saw a lot of value is in 100x helping us understand and structuring the next deals. What kind of valuation should we go for? What should we say no to? Where should we limit ourselves? And I think if that was not the case, we would probably go ahead and take funding at a lower valuation. So I think those are things which are important, and you need more experienced people to back you up with. And second point, I would say that whenever you're raising a larger round, and I and I told this to someone today morning itself, is that when you're raising a larger round, you need that kind of a institutional backing for that large check investor to come in. And I think that's where having a early institutional investor like 100x also helps you give the incoming investor that confidence, and they do not necessarily do that much of due diligence, or they instantly have that confidence that okay, here's someone who's already been vetted and given money to someone in protection and someone in charge of handling someone else's money and interest. So automatically I would do the same. So I think that's the second aspect I would come with.
Got you. Hey, thanks, Rajit, on that. Gaurav, if I have to ask, this question is for me, but I would ask, when you were pitching to other investors, is it people ask, is it too early kind of stuff, and you were very early at the stage, and how did you feel about getting this feedback from any of the VCs, and how different it was your experience vis-a-vis other VCs and 100x while the pitching was happening? What was your feedback? Yeah, you would have pitched to other investors. I'm just assuming. I don't know if you had pitched before 100x, but I'm just asking, how was your experience in terms of engaging with 100x while you were pitching? Gaurav, can't hear you.
So thanks for the question, Sanjay.
Yeah.
Typically,
Go ahead.
yeah. Am I back?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, we got a chance post pitch day. We got a chance to pitch to more than 50 plus investors. So what happens is, we get to improve on various aspects, right? Be it pitching, right? How to get your done, how big the market is, how to do go-to-market strategies, right? All these aspects, because when you pitch to your investors, it's not all about just asking for funds, right? You get feedback from the investors, right, on various aspects of your business. So by this you get an idea, right, if we are on the right track, right, how to improve. And this is what really has helped during the pitch session, I would say, Sanjay, to get various inputs on the business, not just on the business, but even on the investment aspects as well.
Understood. Thanks for that. Let's say, Rajit, coming back to you, Srinivas is asking, continuing that question, saying that what do you look into investor? How do you validate an investor? Whether it's a good investor, toxic investor, how do you decide which investor to engage?
So I think, fundamentally, the same way you decide who your team is going to be, who your mentor is going to be, you have to decide who your investor is going to be. I think one of the important facts of the matter is that, the entire art of investing is to get a return from an investor's perspective. But there are other aspects as well. For example, you should look at the investor's background in terms of what kind of company they have been associated with in the past, what kind of companies they have had successes with, what about the entrepreneurial or the corporate or the experience of that investor in the industry, what kind of fields they have been related with. So what's very important to understand is that if you are in a position of crisis, be it from business, be it from fundraising, or not even in a position of crisis, you are in a position of you have a question, you have a confusion in your mind that what should I do about my business. So let's say your sector, or you have a question in terms of fundraising. Your investor should be a go-to person for you to go and communicate to and ask that question. Now, the minimum background checking you would have to do is in terms of, is the person coming from a background where they're capable of answering these questions? The same way you're hiring your CTO or your CEO or your CXO. So how would you do it? You would see whether they can solve a problem that you can't. The same way, I think you have to look at an investor, that what advisory or what mentor problems or how much mentorship in what area can I solve? For example, what I would primarily look at a pre-seed level is who can get me my next round of funding. Who can help me understand in terms of how to structure my business from a product to a business, right? So those are, and I would look at someone who has been an entrepreneur with a data background in the past. fast. And I think 100X and Sanjay Mehta ticked all of those three boxes why we chose them. And, and they also chose us for a lot of other reasons. But I think that's the foundation of how we looked at it. So, that's primarily it. Your business, you have to think of it as them as investors, as a part of your business, and you have to look at, whether bringing them to the table makes your life easier.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, Rajit. We got one more question, Shikhar Rungta. We are over time, but we'll just take one or two couple of questions more. He is asking across what is the importance of financial model while raising funds with 100X.VC or any other angel investor. Team MicroDegree, if you would like to take this question in terms of financial model and what do you think about, did 100X ask for financial model? If they asked, what was it and how did you go about building financial model? Team MicroDegree?
Yeah. So
Sure.
financial.
Thanks for the question.
Gaurav, go ahead.
Yes. Thanks for the question, Shikhar. So yes, financial model, while raising the financial model, it's very, very important to have your financial model set, because most of the startups would be in ideation stage. But even though if you're in ideation stage, you're supposed to know how big the market is, right? What are you going to expect from the market, at least from first year, second year, or third year? But yes, it could be early. It could be early to think that you have not started making your business yet. But how can you have model? But it is very, very important to have your financial model set, at least for first year. But you can have the projections for 2 to 3 years. Then you just have to project depending on your first year's model.
So idea here is, just to add across what Gaurav said, typically investors do look at financial model. It is not meant to saying that you have to adhere to that, and investors understand things will change, it's fluid. But when you showcase a financial model, it shows your mentality, your mindset as a founder, how in depth you have thought across through your business. Have you lived through your spreadsheet, cell by cell, month on month, how good you are in terms of thinking about the future of your business. And that's where it is more about trying to understand the founder's mindset, and that's where business plan at seed stage come at play. Not about saying that this is how things will happen across. Yes, if you are able to work on that budgeted plan, nothing like it. But investors definitely look upon the whole thinking process of how founders go through their whole journey. To close across this session, I will go one by one to each one of you, and if you can give me one thing why you would recommend 100X.VC to any startup founder to take funding. I'll go one by one to each one of you, and if you can give me one answer, why would you recommend 100X.VC? That would be great, and we'll close this session. Let's start with Rajit. Why would you recommend 100X.VC? Just one line.
To get your next round of funding. I think that's it from my end.
Okay, that's nice and sweet. Isaac, your take on 100X.VC, why would you recommend? I think we are not able to listen to you, Isaac.
Yeah. So I was saying, I think guidance, like not just raising the first seed round, but throughout your entire entrepreneurial journey.
Awesome. So, awesome. Ankit, if you were to recommend 100X.VC, why would you recommend?
Because I think more than investing in your business, 100X invests in you as a founder.
Okay, very nicely said. Coming back to Rakesh at MicroDegree. Rakesh, if you had to recommend 100X.VC, why would you do that? One line.
For the wide experience you have as a team in scaling up a startup from the idea stage to the successful which we want to.
Gaurav, if you had to recommend one line answer. Gaurav?
Just to highlight, there is a saying, right? Yeah. So there is a saying, right? Raise money when it is available, not when you require. So 100X does that, and 100X is Y Combinator of India.
Awesome, very nicely quoted. Lastly, Manikanta, on the closing note, If you had to
Yeah,
share that one line, what would that be? Why would you recommend 100X.VC?
I would like to sum up all the other guys have told because most of the points has been taken away from me. But to close it off, as the name suggests, 100x. So you can trust and bank. 100x VC 100%. So I think you will be going to a different world of exposure. I think without 100x, the exposure what 100x brings to the table is something which is unmatched, according to me. So we have invested like more than 50, with more than 50 investors. So the exposure what we got was pretty immense. So I'm running short of words, but that would be the way I would go.
Thank you. Thank you all. Awesome listening to all of you guys. And thank you, Team Data Sutram and MicroDegree. And guys, if you are raising your first check, seed funding, write to us at pitch@100x.vc, and look forward engaging with you, all of you guys. And stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you, Team Data Sutram. Thank you, Team MicroDegree. Thank you.
Thank you.